It's hard to make a beginning for one who comes to a new place with empty hands. Jacob Weaver, July 15th, 1815.
By 1818, Jacob's endeavors began to pay off. With a large family to support, the labor never seemed to end. However, hard work and a strong sense of family kept them together. Prosperity was now within their reach.
Now, I'll inform you how much land I have to work on and how much I've raised this season. I have 17 acres of cleared land and 2 acres of grapevines. Potatoes, corn, oats, buckwheat, and wheat were harvested in abundance. There's also 2 acres of pasture field, and I also had 250 gallons of wine for my part. When I came here, I had nothing but a few clothes and $43 in debt for my passage. Well, thanks be to God, I paid up for my passage, and I now own 1 horse, 2 milk cows, 6 head of young cattle, 3 sheep, and 14 head of hogs. I paid up the interest on my land at $125 of the principal sum, and this we've gained by our own industry. Now, I wish you'll write me in your next letter whether you think I've done better to come here than to stay there.
Jacob Weaver and his family began to prosper. The work was paying off. But one thought constantly occupied him. He missed what he had left behind. No, it wasn't the land of Ulster County. He described it as poor sandy soil that raised only nubbins of corn. Jacob missed his family. Each letter contained constant entreaties for his family to move to this new state of Indiana. Here, prosperity and opportunity were in abundance. It could be theirs, if they would only join him. The correspondence he received in return was not promising. It always seemed to change the subject, or to ignore his requests altogether. In a series of letters to his younger brother Abraham, Jacob's frustrations finally came to a head.
Dear brother Abraham Weaver, writing you is labor in vain, and what do I get for my pains? I don't think much of your response, for just as much as we, or I don't know what to call it. You may name what you please. You wrote me to give up all hopes forever to see Peter Weaver in my country, for he talks about going, but if he finds one who has courage enough to go, he falls back again. Then you say, but I don't think that would be the case with me, if I was situated to go. Well, I believe if all the situations possible was given you or any of the family, you or they would not have the courage enough to start. You would all think you was going out of the country, or almost out of the world. That thought makes the heart fail. So, no more at present, but I remain your affectionate brother, Jacob Weaver.
Jacob uses the phrase, your affectionate brother, to end this letter. One can almost sense he's trying to mollify the tone of what he had just written. The words in these letters came always from the heart. Jacob Weaver knew the sting in any rebuke was the truth.
On the request whether I or any of my family ever think to come to our old country to see you, if I was able, it would be a great satisfaction to me to come and see my relations once more. But I'm not able at present, with such a large family of small children as I have to provide for. My wife says I shan't go to that country without she goes along with me, and she can't think of letting me go to see my relations unless she should go and see them too. As for the children, I can't tell what they'll do when they get big.
The family of Jacob and Charlotte Weaver was expanding. By 1819, there were 8 children. Charlotte was the glue that helped hold the family together, and she would have to prove that over the next few years as Jacob began to explore other options for feeding his large family.
Jacob's attempts to assuage the rebuke he had written Abraham did not bring the two brothers any closer. A rift was developing. The constant mention of accomplishments struck an angry chord in the younger brother. Abraham's letter to Jacob does not survive. Jacob's response does.
You labor under a grand mistake by telling me that I'm very proud and think myself above my brother. If I've not given you to understand my circumstances plain enough before, then I'll give you them now, in full and plain truth. When I left, my family was middling large, and you all know in what circumstances. When I arrived here, I was $43 in debt. If I wanted a table, I had to spend time to make one or buy one. If I wanted something to put on the table, I had to buy it. And with what? If I wanted a bed to sleep in, I had to spend time to make one or buy one. If I wanted any household furniture, I had to buy it or make it. I pay a heavy rent yearly, and all these things to pay for after my sickness. Now you may judge for yourself whether I have any reason to think myself above my brother.
Sickness was a constant companion to all who settled in the Ohio Valley. Over the next several years, illness and its dreaded companion, death, would pay a visit to almost all.
Melancholy. To relate now about sickness and deaths. In our village of Vevey, there have died between 40 and 50 people. This was said by people acquainted with the yellow fever in the seaports of New York, Philadelphia, or Baltimore to be a greater number here, according to the number of inhabitants there. I don't believe there was one out of every 10 which escaped death. Everyone was sick, more or less. None escaped but one of my small daughters. The rest of us all had it. None have been very dangerous, but all was left with a weakness. There was none of us that could do any work for about 6 or 7 weeks of any consequence. I'll also inform you that the falls of the Ohio in the town of Louisville, it's very sickly. I've been informed by my neighbors who came straight from there that there were from 6 to 10 deaths a day in that town. My daughter, Elizabeth, had a daughter born last April, which lived only 9 days. And I must inform you about the death of my oldest daughter. She departed her life on the 27th of June last.
In spite of all the sickness, Jacob's farm, and indeed all those around him, was producing a bumper of crops. That abundance was coming with a high price.
Our country is very extensive and produces an abundance, but it has but one seaport. There's no foreign trade at present, so the markets are glutted. People can scarce sell anything at all but what they sell one amongst another. And then comes the worst of all, no money to be had. If any, it's good for nothing, so you must sell on credit or not at all. When a farmer goes to the store to buy anything, the store owner won't take anything the farmer can raise. His cry is, "Money, cash in hand, no credit to be given." So, our times are hard as such as I've never seen before.
Jacob found the answer to his financial troubles less than a mile from his home. It was the Ohio River, and where that river led.
Nothing can be bought with produce. It has to be paid for with money. And our produce won't fetch money unless, by chance, we sell some to boats trading to Orleans. That's our nearest seaport for trade. It's about 1,800 miles by water. A voyage I've a notion to undertake this fall.
Jacob Weaver left New York in search of new opportunities. Now, having been in Indiana for 8 years, his money worthless, and a large family in need of support, he prepared to set out again. The monetary reward seemed great. so did the danger.
New Orleans is our nearest seaport. It's about 17 or 1800 miles distance from us. I intend to take my son John along with me. We have to use great care and be watchful, as the river is full of snags and sawyers. On these, some boats run on, burst, and sink. It's also full of islands, whose heads are full of driftwood. Some boats run against these and sink. There are also sandbars, where boats run on and stick fast till the water rises higher to take them off again. A great many get smashed by the ice in winter.
Jacob Weaver would make 3 trips to the Crescent City over the next several years. Each voyage he hoped would be more profitable than the last.
I inform you something about my trading voyage, which, I assure you, was not a very pleasant one. We found the trade very dull, and the produce very low, and the money very scarce. We had to trade in the best manner so as not to lose too much. I had the biggest part of my loading to buy, as well as the boat. The boat cost $118. I sold it for $16. I paid off my cost and expenses, but was none the better of my voyage nor much the worse. I had a great deal of hard labor and trouble, and almost eaten up by mosquitoes to satisfy me to go through all those great troubles and dangers. At my return home, I was very unwell, of what's called the Mississippi complaint. A sort of dysentery made me so weak I was downhearted, seemed to think about nothing or care about nothing. But thanks to God, I feel perfectly well again.
New Orleans, with its mysterious bayous and swamps, has always had a mystic hold on Americans. There was an allure to it which carries on to this day. Jacob saw financial promise. Others saw something which seemed foreign and forbidden. What the Crescent City delivered to the unwary could have devastating consequences.
Dear Father, I wish to know whether you've seen anything of my wife's youngest brother, Henry Golay. He went to Orleans last fall, and from then to the eastward, and we never heard of him since. I will also inform you that we have increased one in the family, which was a son. We'd named him Henry.